World-famous bedtime stories from Mom. Today's story is The Little Mermaid. In the vast, blue depths of the ocean, a mysterious kingdom inhabited by mermaids existed. This realm boasted beautiful coral and palaces adorned with glittering pearls. What adventure shall we embark on today, my lovely princesses? The king asked his 6 daughters. His voice echoed majestically throughout the kingdom. Among them, the youngest princess was particularly striking. Her voice was the most beautiful in the entire ocean, clear and melodious like a jade marble. She was always brimming with curiosity about the world above the sea, eager to uncover its hidden stories. Father, what lies above the sea? Is the sand on the beaches truly soft? What does a sunset look like? The youngest princess inquired, her eyes sparkling with wonder. The king, taken aback, replied, "My dear, you are still too young. You cannot go above the sea until you turn 15. The princess nodded, promising to keep her word, yet she continued to dream about the world above, feeling an intense longing in her heart. The awaited day finally arrived. The youngest mermaid princess turned 15. Oh wow, I can finally go above the sea. Overwhelmed with excitement, her heart thumped wildly. You must be thrilled today, little sister. Tell us all about the outside world, her sisters said, surrounding her with envy. The princess smiled and began her adventure, her tail cutting through the water powerfully. Soon, she left the deep sea behind, reaching the gently dancing waves above. Cautiously, she raised her head above the water, looking at the outside world for the first time. Oh wow, it's so beautiful, she exclaimed as she saw the sun setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and the sea in hues of purple. Mesmerized by the sight, she whispered to herself, I've waited so long to see this. The sound of the waves seemed like music, and the wind gently caressed her hair. During her first adventure above the sea, the youngest mermaid princess spotted a large ship where bright lights flickered, and the sounds of merry music and laughter reached her ears on the breeze. Oh, what's happening over there? She wondered, approaching carefully. She swam closer to the ship, and upon arriving, she was astounded by the lavish scene before her. People were dancing in splendid attire, and beautiful music filled the air. This must be a birthday party for a prince, she whispered excitedly to herself. At that moment, she saw a young prince shining brightly. So he is the prince, she murmured to herself. His appearance was as radiant as a star, and his smile as warm as the sun. The princess felt her heart begin to race at the sight of him, captivated by his charm. I've never seen anything so magnificent in the sea, she whispered, her heart filled with a love at first sight. Suddenly thunder roared, and a storm broke out, darkening the sky with black clouds and flashing lightning. The sea became violently turbulent. Huge waves rose like mountains before crashing down onto the ship, which began to break apart under the assault. The youngest mermaid princess witnessed it all from beneath the water. Oh no, the prince! Her heart pounded with worry. Without hesitation, she swam through the churning waters toward the sinking ship. The sea was a whirlpool of chaos, but she bravely searched for the prince without fear. Then she found the prince struggling in the water, losing consciousness and sinking. My prince! She quickly reached him, wrapping her arms around his body. With powerful strokes of her tail, she swam upwards, fighting the storm to bring him to safety. Her only thought was to save the prince, her love and courage proving stronger than the storm. She never gave up until she had brought him to safety. The mermaid princess carrying the prince struggled towards the beach. The waves gently guided her and the moonlight showed her the way. When she reached the shore, she laid the prince gently on the soft sand. His face was pale yet still shone like a star, and his smile was as radiant as the sun. Sitting beside him, she held his hand tightly and prayed fervently, "Please wake up, my prince. Please come back to life." Her voice was trembling and desperate. Then, as the first light of dawn softly illuminated the beach, a miraculous thing happened. The prince slowly opened his eyes and saw the beautiful mermaid princess vaguely. "Where am I?" he asked weakly. His voice was soft and shaky, but to the princess it was the most beautiful music. Tears of joy streamed down her face as she looked at the prince. But before he could get a clear look at her, she quietly left and returned to the sea, her heart filled with gratitude and relief that the prince was alive. As dawn broke, the beach became a quiet, peaceful place. After saving the prince, the youngest mermaid princess hid and watched from a distance. Soon bells rang out and beautiful ladies rushed to the seaside where the prince lay. The princess, shocked, hid silently behind a rock. Her heart raced, but she decided to stay and watch over the prince. One of the ladies approached the prince gently and helped him up. The prince looked at her bewilderedly and the lady took him to the church. Watching from afar, the princess felt her heart ache. Even though she was the true savior, she couldn't reveal this fact. With a heavy heart, she returned to the sea. From that day on, her thoughts were filled with the prince. What kind of person is he? Could I meet him if I became human? She constantly pondered and imagined, but kept these thoughts as her secret. Although she had saved the prince, she couldn't tell anyone. Her love remained hidden deep within her. The youngest mermaid princess visited her grandmother, a wise mermaid with vast knowledge about the sea, land, and human world. Upon her arrival, her grandmother greeted her with a warm smile. "What's on your mind, my precious granddaughter?" she asked softly. Without hesitation, the princess shared her curiosity. "Grandmother, do humans truly become stars when they die? What are their lives like? Why can't we be like them?" The grandmother smiled and explained, "Humans live intense but short lives. They love, dream, and sometimes suffer. And when they die, their souls ascend to the sky and become stars." The princess's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I wish to become human, to feel and experience their world." The grandmother gently held her hand and said, "But we mermaids belong to the sea. It's also beautiful to dream between the sea and land." Despite the joyous ball happening in the mermaid kingdom, the youngest mermaid princess felt heavy-hearted, filled with longing for the human world and the prince. Unable to bear it, she made a decision. Quietly leaving the ball, she swam through the dark waters to seek the sea witch. The witch's home was near a dark whirlpool in the deepest part of the sea. "Please help me. I want to become human and meet the prince," the princess pleaded with the witch. The witch laughed wickedly and said, "Love a human? How foolish. But if that's truly what you wish, I can help. But remember, it comes at a great cost." The princess replied without hesitation, "I'll do anything. Please turn me into a human." The witch smirked, outlining the conditions. You'll lose your tail and gain legs, but you'll lose your beautiful voice and feel immense pain as if walking on knives. And if you fail to win the prince's true love, you'll turn into sea foam at the first dawn after his wedding to another. Terrified yet determined by her love and longing, the princess agreed. I'm ready. Please do it. The witch, with a malicious grin, said, "Give me your voice, and I'll grant your wish." She then prepared a magical potion, shimmering and emitting strange fumes. The princess, taking a deep breath, handed over a small pearl containing her voice, losing it forever. "And now drink this potion. But remember, there's no turning back. Once you become human, you can never return to being a mermaid. And if you don't earn true love, you'll turn into foam," the witch warned sternly. Despite her fears, the princess's love for the prince was overwhelming. "I'll take the risk," she resolved, and drank the potion in one gulp. The moment she did, she felt excruciating pain as her tail transformed into legs, and she passed out from the agony. Awakening from a deep sleep, the youngest mermaid princess found herself in a whole new world. As a human, she could walk on two legs but had lost her voice. When the prince found her, he asked, "Who are you, and where are you from?" Unable to speak, she responded with only a beautiful gaze. The prince felt she held a special something and took her to his palace, caring for her with great kindness. She was dressed in fine clothes and fed delicious meals. Together, they strolled through the palace gardens and attended splendid balls. The prince adored her like a sister, always wanting her by his side. Despite the pain with every step, the princess endured it for the joy of being with the prince, dancing and exploring with him, each moment a new and mystical experience. The time spent with the prince was precious to the youngest mermaid princess. She longed to express her love but couldn't speak. One day she overheard that the prince wished to marry the lady who saved him at church, believing she was his savior. "She saved me. I want to spend my life with her," he said. The princess plunged into deep sadness, realizing the prince mistook another for his rescuer. She tried to approach the prince, hoping to convey her feelings through her eyes and gestures, but she couldn't reveal the truth. The prince, seeing her sadness, remarked, "Do you know her? You resemble her." His words only deepened her pain. The princess wanted to confess her love, but it remained a silent shadow circling the prince, who had already given his heart to another. In the palace garden, the youngest mermaid princess walked alone with a heavy heart amidst the buzz of the prince's upcoming marriage to a neighboring princess. Remembering the prince's declaration to marry his savior, her heart shattered. The prince's parents had arranged for him to meet the princess from the neighboring kingdom, who was mistakenly believed to be his lifesaver. Upon meeting her, the prince immediately proposed. The news broke the mermaid princess's heart into 1,000 pieces. She wept quietly, feeling an immense pain, as she couldn't reveal that she was the true savior. The bells of a grand church rang throughout the kingdom, announcing the marriage of the prince to the neighboring princess. The day was serene, and everything seemed to celebrate their union. A lavish and spectacular wedding took place on a ship, adorned with sparkling decorations and fragrant flowers, resembling a fairy tale. Jesters danced and musicians played sweet melodies. Amidst the festivities, the youngest mermaid princess cried silently in hiding, knowing her love was sacrificed for another's happiness. Am I truly destined to become foam? She pondered sorrowfully, grieving her fate while cherishing the memories of her time with the prince. On the wedding night, as she gazed at the tranquil sea, tears streamed down the mermaid princess's face, her heart filled with sadness. Then her sisters appeared, braving the rough waves. "Take this," they said, offering her a shining knife. "This can turn you back into a mermaid. You must kill the prince." Holding the knife, she approached the prince's room, tormented by her love and suffering. Inside, the prince slept peacefully, a happy smile on his face. Standing beside him, knife in hand, she battled her emotions. "No, I can't harm my beloved prince," she whispered, throwing the knife into the sea. With a heart heavy with love and sorrow, she threw the knife into the sea and then herself, surrendering to the waves. Upon touching the cold water, she began to magically transform into foam, finally ascending to the sky with the wind. The bittersweet tale of the mermaid princess and the prince's love has been passed down through the ages. Thank you for listening to the end. Click on the playlist for more stories. Your subscription, likes, and notifications greatly support me.